Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Aldila Ilma Aziza from C class of Phonology. Now I will explain about the rules of phonology. Okay, we start from the definition of phonology rules. Phonological rules describe how phonemes are realized as their allophones in a given environment. Environment in phonology typically refers to the neighboring phonemes. For example, in English, the phoneme th is realized as its allophone or between a stressed vowel and an unstressed vowel. Rules are the way phonologists predict how a speech sound will change depending on its position in various speech environments. One of the main components of phonology is the study and discovery of phonological rules. Rules are the way phonologists predict how a speech sound will change depending on its position in various speech environments. For example, the final S sound in helps and grabs follow a simple to understand phonological rule. In this word, the S sounds change depending on what speech sound immediately predicts it. Let's take a second and speak the following words out loud, paying close attention to the final S sound and the sound immediately preceding it. Okay, the first one of phonological rules is assimilation. What is assimilation? Assimilation is the change of sound in speech so that the sound becomes identical with or similar to the neighbor sound. The example of assimilation is cupboard, cup, and board. It's always pronounced cupboard and never kept P and P. Two major categories of assimilation distinguish of regressive and progressive. The first one is regressive. The phoneme that comes first is affected by phoneme coming after it. The example of regressive is goodbye. Here, goodbye sound by goodbye, goodbye. And then the progressive. The progressive is the phoneme that comes the second is affected by phoneme coming first or before it. For example, read this become read it. Assimilation distinguishes of three major data: assimilation of place, assimilation of manner, and assimilation of voice. The first one is assimilation of place. It is more clearly observed in some cases where a final consonant with alveolar place of articulation is followed by an initial consonant with a place of articulation that is not alveolar. And then the second one is assimilation of manner. Assimilation of manner is much less noticeable and is only found in the most rapid and casual speech. And then the third is assimilation of voice. It is also found, but again only in a limited way. The reason for assimilation, because the tongue cannot always move quickly enough to get from one position to another in order to articulate the next sound. And the mouth is too pushy, anticipation the following sound. In either case, it approximates the sound before moving on to the next segment of sound. And the next material is about dissimulation. What is dissimulation? Dissimulation is the process by which one of two similar or identical sounds in a word becomes less like the other, such as the in English marble from French marbre phonetics, the alteration or omission of a consonant as a result of paying dissimulation. Okay, now I will give example. In here, the example in English are deletion above. When a syllable is unstressed, it may drop out altogether, as in deteriorate for deteriorate, temperature from temperature, and aperture for aperture, a process called haplology. When the R is found as pro, it may change to J. February. For February, defibrillator. For defibrillator, though this may be due to analogy with words such as January. Okay, there are four types of dissimulation. There are anticipatory dissimulation at a distance or far and away, the most common, and the second, anticipatory dissimulation from a contiguous segment or very rare, and the third, lag dissimulation at a distance or fairly common, and the last is lag dissimulation from a contiguous segmental or very rare. Okay, the next rule is insertion. What is insertion? Insertion is the addition of one or more sound to a word. This is the addition of a sound to the start of a word or the prepending of phonemes at the beginning of a word without changing its morphological structure. This often happens in language learning when the language which is being learned has different combination of vowels, consonants from the learner first language. For the example, Spanish learners of English often say let's speak for speak, as Spanish does not have words starting with the consonant cluster. Okay, so what is epenthesis? Epenthesis is inserting entire segments, vowel insertion in English plural, for example, kisses, roses, ashes, church, and jets. Okay, for the conclusion is a phonological rule is way of expressing a systematic phonological or morphological process or diachronic sound change in language. Some kind of phonological rules are assimilation, dissimulation, deletion, metathesis, and okay, I think enough, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.